Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Aurora City Council's Committee of the Whole meeting. It is Monday, June 8th, 2015. Ms. Schweikhofer, please call the roll.
Ms. Barner?
Present.
Ms. Grandillo?
Here.
Mr. Hadrich?
Here.
Mr. Horvath? Here. Mr. Kovach?
Present.
Mr. Cudley?
Here.
Ms. McDougal?
Present.
Mr. Vaca?
Present.
Mr. Wolf?
Here.
Right, thank you. First item of business is the approval of the minutes for the May 26, 2015 meeting. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve those minutes. Any additions, comments, corrections? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, those minutes are adopted. Under new business, we only have two items, and we don't have time for Mr. Vaca to add anything tonight, so we'll be out of here in time. All right.
I apologize, Mr. Chairman.
Barner.
I needed to abstain from the minutes from last
Okay.
week, our last meeting.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
It's okay. Under new business, we have two items. The first is a residential tax abatement. Mr. Paul?
You wanted me to take 5 minutes on this, is that what you said?
Go ahead.
We have a request for the property at 28 South Chillicothe, and you can see there's a substantial investment that they're making, a demolition of part of the residence and reconstruction, and they've requested a residential tax abatement. The residential tax abatement is 100% for the 10 years on this addition cost only, yes.
Any comments or questions for Mr. Paul?
Motion to move it on.
It's been moved and seconded to move this on to council's regular agenda. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that motion passes. Our last new business item is item B, handguns for the police department. Chief, you want to speak to that, please?
Good evening. Yeah, this is a part of a capital improvement project that we had budgeted for. It's a purchase of new handguns for the police department. The current guns are, they were last purchased in 2003. There's a 10-year suggested replacement plan on those, so we're a bit past that. So this is just trading in the old guns and replacing them with new guns.
Okay. And it's my understanding, we want this to go on the council's agenda for action this evening, correct?
Yes.
Okay, because there's a deadline that we have to meet.
Yes, there's a 60-day, I believe it is, or 30-day deadline to keep the quote good, the quote that we received, yes.
Ms. McDougal?
Thank you, Councilman Cudley. I'm just curious, Chief, what do we do with old guns?
We're trading them to the company that we're buying the new ones from to get I think they're giving us $8,000 for them total, if I recall. So we're trading them in.
And why this particular model? I mean, what's your?
We tested, we brought in, there's only 3 main manufacturers that most of all the law enforcement uses in the country. So we brought in all 3, Smith & Wesson, Sig Sauer, and Glock, and test fired them all. And we chose this platform in 2 different calibers. It's the most reliable, and the good news is the price actually from when we bought them in 2003 has only increased about $13 per gun, so it hasn't increased that much.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Vaca?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chief, you have 3 different types you're going to get. You're going to 40, what is it, a 40 millimeter?
A 40 caliber.
40 caliber, 9 millimeter?
Yeah, yes.
And the third one, I can't remember what it was here, but I understand the small one for the detectives, you know, or undercover or whatever, but why do you need a variable 2 different sizes?
Well, we wanted to stay with the same platform, Sig Sauer, but
Yeah.
we chose different calibers because different people shoot differently. I personally, chose the 9 millimeter, so we gave them the option of the 2 different calibers, just based on their preference, their hand size, and all of it. The 40 caliber has a much stronger kick than the 9 millimeters, so it's just officer preference. So we gave them the choice of what they were comfortable with.
How does that work with ammunition then? You have 2 different style ammunition also. Actually, 3 if you use that, the smaller handgun.
Yeah, we would have 3 different styles of ammunition, which we would just have that much less of, if we had half a 9 millimeter and half a 40 caliber, it would just be, wouldn't cost anymore.
Okay, that was my next question. Is there a price variation between the different calibers?
The actual weapon itself?
No, the ammunition.
Oh, it's There is probably, I don't know that answer right off the top of my head, but I could find out, but it's probably very minimal if I had to guess.
And how about the holsters? Will they be compatible to what they're using now, or do you have to replace all them?
We would have to replace all them as well.
And those
And that's
two-
part of the budgeted capital improvements in there as well.
And those also would go into the trade-in deal, the holsters?
No, the holsters, some of them are 10 years old, and it's just, there's no market value left to them, or very little if there is.
Well, I applaud the choice of the 6-hour because I went online and it's the Cadillac. The Glock is the Chevrolet, so you got the good one.
Yeah, the Glock came in close. We opened it up to a vote,
Yeah.
and it was very close.
Yeah, but it's still, it's not as good as the 6-hour. Thanks very much.
All right,
Thank
thank you, Mr. Vaca. Mr. Hattridge?
Thank you. Just a comment. I have fired the 6-hour 40 caliber and the 9mm, and you're right. It's a very sweet weapon. My question, Chief, is how many times a year normally are these guns fired? Forget about the on duty. I'm talking about the firing.
Yeah,
range
it's a
itself.
firing range. A new policy that just came out, it's gonna be a minimum of 6 times, so they may fire 50 rounds each time, 50 to, let's just say 150. They'll go down to the range and fire them, so you're talking 400 or 500 rounds minimum probably each year annually.
Okay, so that every 10 years would be probably a good
Yeah, that's
time frame to replace them then.
that's the manufacturer's suggested replacement plan is 10 years, which we're slightly over that now, and I think 12.
Okay, another follow-up question. Are any of these going to have the laser sights on them?
That's officer preference, and they would have to purchase that out of their own uniform allowance.
Okay. And the officers are, at the present time, the officers are all purchasing their own personal weapons that they would use on off-duty? Is this correct?
That depends. They have to qualify with the range master if they're gonna carry an off-duty weapon that's not city-owned or, at the range. Some of them do purchase their own weapons with their own money. Others you can purchase it out of their uniform allowance.
Okay.
A smaller caliber off-duty
Right.
weapon, is that what you're asking? Yes.
Okay, thanks, Chief.
All right, thank you. Mr. Horvat?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chief, and I certainly know the answers here, but can you kind of elaborate the other companies you went out to for quotes?
The manufacturer itself, we went to them,
Okay,
and let me find it real quick. I know Lieutenant Lumpkins. There was 2 other companies, one we never heard back from.
Okay.
And the reason that is because they know that the price is pretty much the price, and no matter who's a distributor for that. But it was Top Gun, LLC, and Atwell's Police and Fire were the 3 that we went out. And Great Lakes Outdoor Supply were
Okay.
the ones that we went out to.
thank you.
All right. Mr. Kovach? I'm sorry, Mr. Wolf.
Thank
The
you,
other
Mr. President.
Kovach.
Chief, I know that you said that the replacement recommendation for the current service weapons was 10 years. Is that the same for the weapons for the handguns that we're purchasing now? 10 years?
Oh, yes,
Okay.
that's their manufacturer's
Standard, okay.
suggested replacement plan.
Thanks.
Ms. Marner?
Actually, that was the same question. Mr. Wolf took care of it, so thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Chief.
Thanks.
We have a motion to
So
forward
moved. To
forward this to council for action this evening. It's-
I just,
Okay, we gotta wait till we're done saying that before you move, okay? So you know what you're moving. All right, we have a motion, and it's been seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, say aye.
aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that motion passes. That brings us to the end of our meeting for this evening. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned.